back to another Mackem in the Middle podcast, another match preview ahead of Wednesday's game away to Sheffield United. So, of course, we are joined by a Sheffield United fan. Jonny from the Shoreham View is here with us to talk us through the game and what to potentially expect from the hosts on Wednesday. How are you getting on, mate? You doing well?
I'm not too bad, pal. How are you going?
Good. I'm getting on good. Obviously, a little bit of a sour taste in the mouth after what happened on Saturday, which I'm sure you've seen. But hopefully we can put that behind us on Wednesday at your expense.
It's not every week that a player like a goalkeeper turns into primary Kane, so I won't worry about Wes coming up for any overhead kicks or something. But as far as Wednesday goes, I'm hoping that you don't get too much luck.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. Obviously, this is, by all means, at least a championship fixture. Both sides have been, well, Sheffield United most recently have been in the Premier League, but both have been in and around there. The last meeting between these two clubs was obviously in I think it was the Carabao Cup a few years ago, which I'm not sure if you were at that game or not, but did end in a Sunderland win. But did you go to that game?
I don't believe I did, to be honest. Carabao Cup, I don't usually go until we get to like fourth round.
Yeah.
It's horrible for atmosphere. You turn up, there's only two stands open.
Yeah.
Or you travel away, and it don't really, until you get to fourth round, nothing really happens. It's just reserve teams.
It's always been one of them competitions where no one cares unless you're in the final.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, until you stop playing the reserve teams, what's the point in going? Just let the younger kids go and build up their points for future games, rather than me clogging up a ticket. I think last game I remember playing your guys was, I know we did play you at home in the Championship that season where I believe you went down, but I remember the away one at your place where Clayton Donaldson got one.
That was about 5 years ago now, wasn't it?
I know. That's how quick this time has been flying. But that seems like yesterday to me, because Sunderland v Sheffield United to me has always been a fixture I looked out for, even as a kid, like early coming up. 97, 98, it were a big game in division. You had a good team, we had a good team. We dropped off after we sold all those best players in January for some bizarre reason. But that were the battle that was going through the division that entire season, and they were all brilliant games. And every time we played you, it seemed to be a feisty affair, seemed to be entertaining. And it's one of them games you really miss when the team's gone, or where we weren't in the league, where we were in League One. Good spicy fixture that you miss, but instead you have to put up with the likes of Luton or Burton or someone like that.
Definitely worse than League One. Definitely worse than League One. Just look there. The last time we actually beat Sheffield United was 17 years ago. And it was Marcus Stewart that scored in a 1-0 win. And obviously, we have a different Stewart that will hopefully be on the score sheet on Wednesday, which I'll very shortly get into. But looking at the start of the season for Sheffield United, obviously it's 4 points from a possible 9 in the opening 3 games.
Yeah.
What have you took from them 3 games so far?
For the Watford one, I learned that we do not have much depth in certain areas. I do believe saying they came down and they had this amazing strike force that everybody was banging on about. I thought their strike force looked bang average, but what they did have were lots of pace. So what did we do? We let them counter attack with lots of pace, and they score a goal for a 1-0 loss. But at the beginning of the season, not to be too disheartened, we came against Millwall, absolutely destroyed them, which were good because they're usually a bogey team. And then we got to up your way, but not quite, to Middlesbrough. Another bogey ground for us. We haven't won there in a long time. And to all, before the game, I would have taken, but very disappointed not to come away with all 3 points. I think a mix of a very weak left-hand side of defence, gifting them goals through mistakes, and a really bad referee has kind of put us out 3 points from there. But 3 games in, played 2 fellow promotion favourites. You know what? I'll take being on 4 points at this stage.
Yeah. And obviously, we mentioned squad depth. That's definitely something that Sunderland lack, and that's something that we've been banging the drum on social media, on podcasts for a long time. But I think Chris Wilder said it after the Middlesbrough game, obviously between you and them, that it is largely the same team that you've got now as the team that nearly qualified for Europe in the Premier League a few seasons back.
Yeah, very similar, but there's a few caveats to that. One, we're missing Jack O'Connell. He got injured during the first COVID outbreak. When halfway through the season, I went to every single Premier League game, then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, we also lost Jack O'Connell. And he's been gone for 2 years since then. And we did have a bit of a downward spiral for the Premier League. He's one of the reasons, fans not being there, Jack O'Connell being missing, is one of the reasons why we probably didn't finish higher in that first season of the Premier League. But then we also lost a key part of the jigsaw. So saying you've got the same players, you should be expecting it. No, when you lose a key man, a Jack O'Connell to replace in this market costs you £50 million. He's not easily replaced. So that's one of the reasons why we maybe aren't doing better, especially with the system we play. We have added a lot of players for squad depth that I think are better than what we had back then. But we've also got a few players that were maybe hitting the prime, hitting their golden years, shall we say, under Wilder, which are now starting to fizzle out. And I think that needs to be addressed. But we are looking better than we did last season.
Yeah. And obviously, with a lot of the squad having been together for God knows how many years, 3, 4, maybe 5 years.
Yeah.
That must be a positive for Sheffield United, because obviously, when teams get promoted, especially from the Championship into the Premier League, but just looking at Sheffield United as an example, when you've got players that know how each other play, they've played with each other for years, that has to help, surely.
I believe it does. It has got to the stage where certain players know what other players are thinking. The one detriment to that is when somebody new comes in, even if they're an amazing player, it can take them a while to bed in, which can hurt us in the long run. We've got Reid Kadra come in. He not really start many games, whether that's not because he's not up to speed on the system. But I do believe that you are right. Having that core group of players, not just on the pitch, but off it, can really help a team move forward. I believe that played a big part in us doing so well under Wilder, and I believe it will help carry us forward into hopefully a new era of success at the club. Yeah. Obviously, as I said, these players are aging, but if they can put the core beliefs, the core atmosphere, and put their stamp onto the newer crop of players coming through, that's only going to be a bonus for us going forward.
Yeah. And obviously, you've made a few signings so far this season. A Swedish centre-back, which I'm not going to try and pronounce either of his name, either his first or his second. So we'll go with a Swedish centre-back.
He's actually Bosnian.
Yeah, I was going to say he's Bosnian from Sweden.
Yeah.
I even got that one wrong. Obviously, Tommy Doyle and McCarthy from Man City, Kieran Clark from a certain Premier League club, and is it Kadra from Brighton, if I said that right?
That's right, Reda Kadra.
Yeah. So in terms of, the players that you look to bring in, it is very similar to Sunderland, I think. Young players, potentially not on the fringes of Premier League clubs, are going to come to the Championship, prove themselves. And I think that's what a lot of them players are. But I'd imagine a lot of Sheffield United fans still think there's work to be done transfer-wise.
I actually believe that a lot of players. Sorry, I'll do that again. I believe a lot of fans actually think there probably is still some work to do. As I said, that left-hand side of defence does need work. We've got Enda Stevens out for a little while, so we've got a makeshift kind of back line on the left-hand side because Reece Norrington-Davies is a wing-back. He's not as left centre-half. We do need to bring a player into play there. Kieran Clark, you know what? Even on a loan sign, I don't think he's going to start many games. I think he's there for depth, a bit like Jagielka was. Kadra needs bedding in. Doyle's injured. McAtee, he looks a very good player, but again, he'll need bedding in. The only one who's really gone straight into the lineup and doesn't look out of place is the guy whose name you wouldn't try and pronounce. we're just calling him Anel Mekshitozic, so that's how we'll keep it, Mekshitozic. But he looks composed on the ball, brilliant at defending. Did drop one or two errors against Borough, but it's only his second full game, so none of them really cost us. Unlike Max Lowe, who's come back from Forest, who did cost us. Him and Norrington-Davies had a woeful time on that left-hand side. A lot of our fans seem to think he did really well in the second half because he made 9 tackles. Now, I look at that and I said, no, he got run into 5 times and made 4 tackles. So I do think we do need to go out and maybe bring in some more defensive options because we've made loan signings for the midfield, which I think is sensible. Strikers, we have started to build up a bit of a backlog of strikers now, but I still probably wouldn't mind a fast one coming in. So happy with how it's gone. Wouldn't say no to more is probably the best way to sum it up.
Yeah. Well, Sunderland obviously promoted from League One after 4 very miserable years watching some terrible League One football. And it is a breath of fresh air to be back in the Championship. You've got teams that will come to the Stadium of Light, play for 3 points, not time waste from the opening whistle, which is very nice to see. But a lot of the players that we have are very inexperienced in the Championship, the likes of Ross Stewart. Patrick Roberts hasn't really featured too much at any of the clubs he's been at. Jack Clark, very similar. So a lot of players that haven't actually played at this level before. As a Sheffield United fan, Sheffield United know the division. They've got players that have come down from a higher division to play for you. Does that potentially make you a little bit more confident going at this game that you know what it takes to get wins in this league and Sunderland potentially don't?
Not really. I believe that Sunderland have probably got less fear about it, less anxiety. The young set of players, a lot of them aren't experienced at level. What they've got to lose? They've come up. They've finally got promoted after all that time. They're probably still riding a high. They'll have a point to prove after what happened against QPR. They'll be up for it. I imagine they'll give us probably a better game than Middlesbrough did, which sounds daft because Middlesbrough got a lot of experienced players at this level. I think you can get too comfortable. People forget that we went up to the Premier League with League One rejects.
Yeah.
When you play without fear, it's amazing how far that can take you, especially when you've got a good core of lads. And you look at Sunderland's team, and I think you have got that good core of players.
I suppose that's the one thing as well with Sunderland is there's no expectation this season other than to realistically stay in the division. You know, everyone would like to see us get promoted. Everyone would like to see us win the league. Who wouldn't? But the main goal is to stay up. And, you know, from the 3 games that we've seen so far, I think that is looking particularly likely at the minute. But for Sheffield United, there is a sense of urgency and a sense of just a lot more pressure on what they need to achieve this season.
Yeah, I believe that's probably right. You look at the team, you look at the players we've got. This will be a last chance for a lot of them, contract-wise, age-wise. The urgency comes from the fact that we should have started a lot better last season. I believe if we would have started with Eckenbottom in charge last season instead of bringing in Slavicia, overrated Jukanovic, and if we didn't have an injury ground of doom injuring all those players last season, the division last season was weaker than it is this season. I think we missed a golden opportunity to go up top 2 last season, and it was all our own fault. We can't blame anybody else. We did that to ourselves. Yeah. So this season we have got to set that right. We've got to try and we've had the first 3 games. We should have bedded in now. We've got to try and hit the ground running starting midweek and then keep that going.
This is wait Saturday if you wanted to.
I mean, no one knows we probably will do. But, but the thing is, this is no disrespect to Sunderland or Blackburn. On paper, we should be the favourites for this game. But as we both know, football never works that way. So we've got to go out and we've got to graft both these games. Blackburn, top of the league at the minute. Sunderland, until QPR's keeper turns into Harry Kane, you look like you're going to be top at division. Yeah. So anybody can beat anybody in this division. So we need to be wary of that. And we need to not take any team lightly, because if we do, we'll end up with another mediocre playoff failure.
Yeah. That's 3 times I've been reminded of that. Last minute header from QPR's goalkeeper in the last 15 minutes. Let's not make it a 4th.
What? Well, you're not a keeper, right?
Still haven't got over it. Looking at the teams though, Sunderland, like I said right at the start, squad depth is one of the issues. So quite frankly, other than Dan Ballard, who I don't think it's been confirmed yet as to what the severity of the injury is, but it appears to be a broken foot. And typically with an injury like that, it is about 8 to 12 weeks that you're going to be missing. So it's a big blow for Sunderland. And like we said, after the QPR game, that just adds another player that we need to bring in the next 15, 16 days, I think it is, before the window closes.
Yeah.
So in terms of starting 11 for Sunderland, it's going to be unchanged by Ballard, I'd expect. I don't think there's any new injuries. Possibly O'Nien will come in for Ballard. So to predict that is going to be fairly easy. Sheffield United, though, if you had to predict how they would line up on Wednesday night, what would you be going with?
Probably going to say it's going to be, obviously, big League One Wes Fotheringham in the net. On the right-hand side of the right-hand wing-back is going to be Georgie Baldock. Left-hand side, with the injuries as they are, probably say it's still going to be Max Lowe, which is unfortunate for us. Back 3, left-hand side of Reece Norrington-Davis, right-hand side of Anel Mikshitozic, with John Egan in the middle. Midfield, I'm going to say they're going to stick with Norwood and Fleck, with possibly Ndai and Berger a bit further forward, and it'll either be Sharp or Brewster up top on the run.
Yeah. Obviously, Sharp's a very experienced player at this level as well, isn't he?
Oh, the guy could play till he were in his 70s and he'll still bag goals at this level. Yeah. He knows where to be, he knows what to do. I think Wilder knew that, and when he saw Sharpie was starting, I think we made a mistake there, because as good as Sharpie is, who knows him better than Wilder, who got the best out of him at this level. Yeah. So I do believe that he got played out of the game, and that's why he came off at half-time. There was talk of a knock, but I think it was more tactical to why we brought Brewster on. So I can see maybe Sharpie leading that line, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a knock for it to be Brewster.
Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't get a goal on Wednesday. That's what I will say. In terms of score predictions, I am a Sunderland fan, not we. So I'm going to have to predict a Sunderland win, or at least a Sunderland result that would benefit us. So I think I'd probably go with a 2-2, I think, on Wednesday. I think it's probably going to be the hardest game that we've had so far this season. In terms of the teams that we've played, obviously Coventry, Bristol City and QPR. Sheffield United, I'd expect to finish above all of them. So everyone knows it's not going to be an easy game. So I'd take a 1-1, a 2-2. I'd take a point. 3 would obviously be fantastic. But you're at home. You will be favourites for the game, I imagine. If you had to go over a score prediction, what would it be?
I'm going to go for the old faithful 1-1. I can see us dictating a lot of the game, but I can see you guys having a bit of a fire in your belly. So I can see us maybe getting an early goal, trying to look for that second. But as always, probably let ourselves down with not taking chances, not showing that killer instinct that you need to be successful at this level, which we still haven't really shown as much as we should do. And then you guys coming away with an equaliser in the second half. And I do think that your feel good factor coming up and that fire in your belly will probably lead you to get a point at the lane.
Yeah. And I think Sunderland, I don't know the exact number, but obviously they were on the best unbeaten run across England's top 4 divisions, I think it was, up until Carabao Cup defeat. But I think that league run is still at about maybe 17, potentially still 18 games.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of them were in League One, so whether you count them or not. But it'll be an interesting game. Like I said, biggest test for Sunderland yet, and possibly for Sheffield United as well. I'm not sure if you've played one of the promoted teams yet, have you?
No, you'll be the first. Obviously, we've played a team that's just come down, and 2 from last season. So you'll be the first of the League One guys to come up to the Championship.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we get a good game. Another game that's on Sky Sports, and I think Sheffield United have been on Sky quite a lot. And I think Sunderland have, 4 more games in the next month that are on Sky.
It's absolutely mad, isn't it? I want Leeds to come back down so they can be on telly every week, so we can actually have our Saturdays back.
Yeah, I think we've got a few games. I think Monday is Middlesbrough away. Not this Monday. I think it's early September. I think that game is. It's been moved to a Monday for Sky, which isn't too bad to be fair, considering it's 25 minutes down the road, but still never ideal.
I can't badmouth them too much. They pay me bills, but I would like my Saturday 3 o'clocks back.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure, we all would. But we'll wrap it up there. Obviously, we will be back to talk about the game. That will come out on Thursday, I imagine. It's been a pleasure talking once again, Jonny. Appreciate you coming on.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me.
So we will be back on Thursday to discuss the game, but until then, we will see you later.
That's all, folks.